Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have another really exciting show today for you because we're really looking at the energies of this year, the snake year, the eclipse, the equinox coming up. You guys know about the retreat, come down, kiss some dolphins, go have some solar initiations in the Mayan. If you want some really gather up the energies that are opening for massive transformation in March with eclipses, with the equinoxes and Venus retrograde and everything else, it's an epic place to be. Make sure you check below to subscribe, click the notification button so you know what we do, subscribe to Nanakasha, and find my beautiful friend Donna here at donnastellhorn.com. That's again below in our links. And Donna is a master astrologer. If you've been coming to my channel for a while, hopefully you've joined her channel. You know how wonderful and wise she is. She's got a second vision. She's got a spiritual understanding that I love. It's not just spewing a bunch of technical stuff at you. We really want to bring, how is this practical? How can you apply this to your life? And she does Feng Shui, Chinese astrology, Western tropical astrology. She's got a brand new book, Chinese astrology, right? Out, and many courses. So make sure you get onto her YouTube channel because she does really wonderful, consistent updates. And you can email her as well. So let's go ahead. We're going to dive into this March in general as a container because we have so much happening. So thank you for joining me again, Donna.
Hi, Nan. I'm glad to be back.
So let's dive in. What's the first thing, what's the first thing we need to begin to prepare for this incredible opportunity?
Well, I know that people could feel a little overloaded from what you had called before the circus that's going on.
The circus is happening. You don't
But
have to go to the circus, just remember.
yeah. So we do have quite a bit going on in March. And so it's going to be two eclipses. Mercury will be retrograde. Venus is going retrograde. Mars is still in its shadow. And Neptune is going to go into a new sign. So that's a lot for one little month. So, but we do usually get a packed month sometime in the spring. So oftentimes it falls in April. This time it's falling in March. Eclipses always signal a time of change. And so you can kind of picture yourself if you were moving from one room into another and you get into the new room and the door closes behind you. You cannot go back. That's an eclipse.
Like that, yeah.
So if you're not willing to move into the room, the next room, the universe ushers you into that room.
It's a
And then
very nice
closes
way
the
to put
door.
it.
Yeah. So,
Or shoves
so
you.
yeah. So on March 13/14, so it's basically at midnight, 13th, 14th, there's a lunar eclipse in Virgo at 23 degrees.
So that's the full moon.
So correct.
Okay. So because I
Yes.
just went, oh my gosh, that's right. I'm going to Chichen Itza. I'm doing something really rare, unknown, 33 days of Kukulkan. So the sacred serpent that comes down on the equinox, most people have seen.
Mm.
They tell you it only happens one day. It happens for 33 days.
Oh.
And it grows from 6 light triangles to 9. On
Mm.
the equinox, it's at 7, equal dark and light.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the days I'm going many, many times during the month, and one of the days that I was called to go was that exact day for the full moon
Right,
to be
right.
in those energies. So it's a lunar eclipse.
Yes. So a lunar eclipse always falls on a full moon. It just when things line up and then suddenly the moon turns to blood. So, so yeah, so this is one of the first Virgo Pisces eclipses that we've had. We're going to have 18 months of Virgo Pisces eclipses. And so, of course, if you are Virgo, you are particularly affected, but also any mutable sign. So that would also be the Geminis, the Sagittarius, and the Pisces. They are all getting the eclipse a little bit more intensely than others. And it just means that you in your heart have been wishing for a change and you have not necessarily taken the action And so the universe is going to help you and assist you into the new thing. So, usually about a week before, sometimes 2 weeks before, we know what's going to happen. So, it doesn't generally happen exactly on the eclipse. It'll happen a week before, a week after. But it is, if you can embrace change, if you can, change something in your life, that would be ideal.
So what are the specific energies then of this lunar eclipse? Because eclipses in general have an overall meaning or a container or an opportunity, but then inside of this one, we will be what? Venus retrograde,
Mhm.
and this is Virgo. So
Mhm.
what are some of the specific energies that would help us or could trip us up?
So, well, aside from the Venus retrograde, so we'll hit that in a second, this eclipse, a Virgo eclipse, is about looking at your daily life and seeing what needs to be changed. So Virgo wants to take a system and perfect it to make it better. And so maybe your eating habits have slipped a little bit. Maybe you're not giving yourself enough time for rest. Maybe you're spending a little too much time hypnotized by the media or some other thing. And so breaking free of that and then reordering your day so that it is more in alignment with what you want to achieve.
So yeah, I mean, the Virgo can tend to be very practical, right? And very
Mhm.
perfectionistic, liking to organize things, keeping everything inside the lines.
Mhm.
That's my mom, so I know. And yet is there a very strong feminine essence to this sign?
Well, there is. It is. It is a feminine sign. And so there is this energy of taking care of. And and that nurturing has to include ourselves.
Yeah,
So because we're naturally going to nurture others.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. We're having this yin year with the snake. We're having this awakening of the sacred feminine, rebalancing ourselves back into understanding what that actually means. And it seems to me like Virgo is a very strong feminine sign in the
Mhm.
sense that it's not like, like Aphrodite we were talking about. It's just like, let's just all be in our
Mhm.
feminine and accomplish
Mhm.
nothing and have lots of pleasure,
Mhm.
Virgo seems to be that aspect that can really help us stay in our feminine, not have to jump into being, super over macho masculine like the world's trying to do, yet be
Well,
strong.
yes, except we have the solar eclipse.
Ah,
So
that's true. Next. Okay, let's go.
So the solar eclipse is on March 29th. It's at 9 degrees of Aries. And so this is the quintessential macho man. Yeah.
That's a critical degree. That's an ending.
So, well, from a numerology standpoint, yes, it is. And this is actually the last of the Aries Libra eclipses. And
Mm.
so we won't get those again for another 9 years. And so, yes, there is a letting go and trying to shift into that Virgo Pisces energy of the Pisces more about connecting to all things in the universe and that universal consciousness. And then the Virgo is, okay, now I'm part of the universal consciousness. What's for lunch? And so let's take care of the practical because we are in physical bodies. So we can't always be floating.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
to do some
Well, and
things.
that's part of the
Yeah.
sacred feminine by itself. I used to have a friend who said, "Well, if we were all just floating around in our feminine all day, nothing would get built, nothing would be made. We'd just be enjoying ourselves,
Yeah.
not bringing form, bringing things into form."
Right.
So, well, that's pretty significant. So we're going to have an opening in Virgo and a closing in Virgo Pisces and
Hmm. Yeah.
a closing in Aries Libra, which
Mhm.
is closing that cycle as well. Hmm.
Yes, yes. Although that cycle is going to get revived with some of the outer planets going into Aries. But we'll talk about that in a second. So Mercury's going to go retrograde. So Mercury will go retrograde basically around the time of the lunar eclipse. So Mercury goes retrograde around midnight between the 14th and the 15th. So interestingly enough, it's going retrograde at 9 degrees of Aries, the same as the solar eclipse that it's happening 2 weeks later. So we do have some really intense Aries energy happening. And in the circus that you aforementioned, the move fast and break things energy that's kind of the theme of what's going on here in the United States is very Aries. It's like, I don't care if I'm breaking stuff. I just have to move very, very quickly. And so now we're doing that, but in retrograde. And so that's going back and saying, oh, wait, this didn't get broken. I need to break that too.
Oh my
You
goodness
know,
me.
so, or rush, rush, rush. So now this Mercury retrograde will go back into Pisces and everyone will go, wait, what are we doing?
No kidding.
Yeah.
And when is that? When does it?
So Mercury goes retrograde on between the 14th and the
14.
15th. And then it's retrograde until April 7. So it goes all the way back to 26 Pisces. And so the shadow period begins on March 1st. And then and that goes to the March 14, 15. And then the post shadow period is April 7 to April 21. So that's so basically March 1st to April 21 is your blackout period if you're buying a car.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Don't
So
make choices. You're going to break it. You'll
well,
rush too fast, maybe. Are you?
it's Mercury rules vehicles and it rules computers and electronics and communication and stuff like that. So doing things on the retrograde, you have to be super careful because things can go wrong and there can be delays. So, because with Mercury retrograde, we're trying to go back and finish all of the things that we didn't do. So, and then we put that on top of the other things we're already doing. And so it's just a very, very busy time
Mhm, mhm,
when things are more likely to just break on their own, even without people breaking them on purpose. So, and then Venus is retrograde, and we had talked about this in a different show, but Venus is retrograde from March 1st until April 12th, and that shadow period was back in January 28th all the way to May 15th. So very long shadow period. And that is where we are reassessing what it is that we like and deciding if we still like that.
mhm.
And so during Venus retrograde, a lot of people go, you know what? I really don't like vanilla ice cream, you know? So,
Boring. Yeah.
yeah. And
Uh,
then
hmm, okay.
Mars is moving forward, but it's still in its shadow until May 1st. And so there is the Mars in its shadow says we're trying to move forward, we're trying to do things, but there's still some stuff nagging at us from the past that we needed to complete. So we have all of those energies that are saying, stop, be mindful, look at what has fallen out of your pockets or been left undone on the table, and go back and finish that. So, because then on March 30th, Neptune is the first of our three heavy hitters that is going into a new sign, and it goes into Aries.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, over the next couple of years, what's going to happen is we are going to move out of the feminine signs into the masculine signs. We are going to do all the late degree or slower moving planets are going to go into air and fire.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Neptune's going to be in Aries until October 22nd, where it will back into Pisces one last time and then permanently, well, as permanent as it can be for years and years, it will be in Aries starting in 2026. So we're going to get a little taste
Mm.
of Neptune in Aries.
So, what's an example of the difference? Because Neptune in Pisces and Neptune in Aries are pretty different.
Yes. So we can go back in history And so Neptune in Pisces was around the 18, like 1860s. No, well, I shouldn't say that. 1850s was Neptune in Pisces. And so so we were kind of exploring the country, wandering around, checking things out. And then people had these different ways of life that they wanted to do, and they started to want to not give those up with change. And then Neptune went into Aries, and we had the Civil War. So, in fact, the Civil War started a day before Neptune went into Aries.
Hmm.
So, and there's a lot of other things that happened. I had some things and then they went. So, but the energy went from this sort of nurturing the land and let's try and all live together to, I don't like what you're doing. And so, and everybody started to fight about it.
Mhm.
This was also the era of the cowboy where people were extremely independent. And, so in the United States, the people who went west were like, yeah, I don't want to see anybody. That energy was so unique at the time of, people living by themselves and for long periods of time. And so it brought this whole, storybook romance that the United States has with the cowboy.
Mm, mm,
So it's very much about being independent and being resourceful and uh, being self-reliant. So, and it starts with a lack of boundaries
really?
and becomes extreme boundaries.
Are the extreme boundaries knowing yourself or from fear kind of thing?
Could be either.
So you get to
So,
choose the energy with which you react to these energies or use this
correct.
energies that you're walking through.
So it can be, so the world wants me to do A, I want to do B. Okay, the world can do A and I can do B. That's one scenario. Or you could say, well, I can't do B. I must do A. So
Yeah,
therefore, then you feel unhappy about it.
right. Wow. So what is the Neptune energy in Aries when it comes to the idea of it being very intuitive, very fluid, right?
Mhm.
Some of those more, I guess, feminine nature in this Aries.
Well, it's a little bit like gasoline on a fire. So it increases really sharply, really intensely. So the messages that people will receive will be brighter, louder, more intense. And our reaction to it needs to still remain calm. Just because the volume is up doesn't
Mhm.
mean that it means it's, more urgent or sooner. It's just the volume's up.
You're just more clearly communicating. You're receiving the messages. So this is really an opportunity for us to increase, amplify, accelerate, clarify, reconnect our intuitive pathways, which is
Mhm,
happening anyway. But it seems
mhm,
to me like, because part of me is like, wait a minute, the sacred feminine's coming. Now we're going to have all these masculine signs. But if it kind of reminds me of the energy of the sacred masculine being the builder and the protector, and then the sacred
mhm,
feminine fills it and creates inside of that. And so
mhm,
this could, for me, I'm starting to say, okay, if I understand these energies, then I'm getting some structure. I'm getting release. I'm getting
mhm,
letting go. And then I'm getting these doors that are opening, these eclipses, some final things and that.
mhm,
And then
mhm,
I'm going to be in this Aries energy, which is action oriented from the masculine perspective. It's going to be giving us that desire or that ability to take action while our intuition is amplifying. So if your intuition is coming to the forefront, it'd be a good time to learn what it means or to master
uh-huh,
it or to not be afraid of it or to
mhm.
understand how to harness it because things are moving very quickly.
Yeah, exactly right. And with Pluto in Aquarius already, that is to find the community that you resonate with. So, and then recognize then you're hearing each other. So, and that can set up the boundary so that you've got this clear message and you're not getting all the junk in.
Yeah, yeah. So it is about discernment. Is there any of these energies we're talking about that will help with that idea of being discerning of the barrage of massive amounts of information and people selling and trying to get your attention and
I think that the fact that Venus and Mercury are retrograde gives us the opportunity to go back and clear out some things to get ready for this.
that's good. Yeah.
So Neptune is a very long cycle, so it's going to be in Aries for years. And that doesn't mean, though, that we can't harness that energy very quickly. We can. So, and it's just much more active than it has been because, Pisces can be foggy. It can be quite clear, but it also can be foggy. But um, the energy of Aries is more like a match, like there's intensity. The match lights in the dark room, but of course there's the urgency. We have to use the match because we have very little fuel. So that the intuition that comes up will be like a whoosh and then gone.
Oh, very interesting.
And so if you can remove some of the distractions so that you can get the, oh, okay, now I need to think about this versus, okay, I only had it as a flash, so I don't know what it is, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, and again, that's another to me, of course, teaching intuition or constantly in the process of wanting to understand more of the symbology, more of the messages, interpreting what's coming through, not just be bowled over by it, understand the energies, like what you're
Mhm.
sharing with us, so that I'm not just like walking through being punched and thrown at, right? Feeling like the
Mhm.
energies are doing that. But this is an opportunity to seriously take your multidimensional, your spiritual, your intuitive self and
Mhm.
say, this is as valuable, this information, and it is going to be my inner guidance
Mhm.
through all
Yeah.
the stuff that's happening. We're going into fire years, and that's not just according to the Chinese, that's according to Maya, that's according to human design. It's kind of a lot of these like fire 2 years of fire signs.
Yes.
So yeah, this is a chance of really preparing. Is that overall how you, we're not going to go into the rest of the year right now, but
Mhm.
as we emerge from this March, feels like we're going down in the caves, like going on the adventure
Mhm.
of the hobbits and going into the, when we come out, is there something that we can really harness to move into the next part of this year?
Well, yeah, when you look at your chart, you'll know because of the placement of the eclipses and where the retrogrades are happening and where Neptune is at zero, you see in your chart the areas that, you get the hint that this is where you need to work at it. So for example, this lunar eclipse for you will be in your third house. So that's paperwork and connection with siblings and transportation. And so that might mean that you're, dealing with airline tickets and, finding a way into town and talking to your siblings. So, and take care of those things while we've got the retrograde energy so that then no confusion happens about it when we get into the Neptune and Aries. And Neptune and Aries is really about clearing the fog. So about individuals
Yes.
having a vision. And, I just want to remind everybody out there that we've already been through tons.
We've been through so
Everybody
much.
listening here has been through 2008 and 2020 and everything that happened in between. We're already seasoned, so we can handle this.
Yeah.
So it is when we get fearful and we start to grip and hold on to something that we get into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the eclipses, give us another little reminder of what to do or what not to do between the eclipses or on the eclipses.
Well, eclipses are pretty low energy, so because energy is blocked literally. So if you do a lot of rituals, you don't do them actually on the eclipse because there's no energy. So, but before the eclipses and after the eclipses, there's a great deal of energy because suddenly the planet emerges again, or in this case, the moon. So therefore, that's when it's really strong. So it's kind of like uh, just to be aware of what needs to leave your life. What do you keep saying needs to leave your life? And then when it leaves, don't go, oh my gosh, I needed that,
Exactly, right. Oh,
which we all tend to do. It's like, hey, this person's driving me crazy. And then they come up and say, well, I'm moving to Guam. And you're like, shoot, I needed them. Yeah.
right. I want this person out of my life. Wait a minute, I didn't mean that.
Right, right. So we can always channel the energy ourselves by actively letting go, by actively growing. So, and this is still, this is a snake year, but it's a wood year. We're supposed to grow. We're supposed to learn. We're supposed to, talk to teachers and find mentors and connect that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So does the eclipses don't travel on the eclipses? Is that a good idea?
Sometimes we have to give yourself extra time, recognize, especially around eclipses, not everyone is as spiritually aware as you are. And they may have, in the last few days or even at that moment, received some very disturbing news. And
Mm,
so be aware that they may act erratically. And
mm,
that is other drivers could, the guy ahead of you in line or behind you, like just be aware of your surroundings on the eclipses. So it can also do things to the financial markets. It's interesting. I think it's because there's so much program trading that goes on, computer trading. It's, like if one thing gets triggered, if we fall below something, then all of the programs all at once get triggered. And so there was a period where it was extremely emotionally driven and then a little bit less so. And now it seems to be a little too automated and
mhm.
that, the hallucinating AI, just sends us one direction or the other. So again, like if you're concerned about finances, then, talk to a professional about where you can be to protect yourself from a downside.
Right.
So,
So using the energy, I know you've mentioned before, using the energies up that are there for you, like not
mhm.
avoiding them and all of that. And then do you have a time on the 13th or 14th for the lunar eclipse? Is it
Um, for Eastern time, it's 2:55 a.m. on the 14th, and for Pacific time, it's 11:55 p.m. on the 13th.
oh, interesting?
So not visible for us, um, up in the
Right.
northern hemisphere.
Interesting.
So, and then the solar eclipse is 6:58 a.m. Eastern time and 3:58 a.m. Pacific.
On the 22nd?
That is the 29th.
Oh, the 29th. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
29th.
Yeah, eclipses. So the solar eclipse always falls on the new moon. The lunar eclipse always falls on the full moon. So they're always 2 weeks apart. Sometimes they come in threes, but we lucked out this year. And so we only get a total of four
Yeah.
eclipses. So
It's an amazing thing how sometimes they show up in June, May, April.
correct.
Now it's March. I mean, the one that kicked my butt 5 years ago, I think was in June or July. It was
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
like, what?
So
Yeah,
they precess through the zodiac as well, and they go backwards, just like when we talked about the Venus star point doing the same. So
right.
yeah.
Okay, good. So anything else that we need to know that that you have to share with us so that we can go through this amazing experience?
Well, yeah, it's going to be okay. And and you have access to people who can even point out like these are the days that it's going to be better, you know.
Mm.
So checking in with you or I to say, if you're really worried, then find somebody who's
Yes.
going to open up your chart and look at it, or look at the energies numerologically, or through the Mayan stuff. Like, all of these tools are here to show us that we are going to get through this.
Yes, absolutely. I don't believe in doom and gloom at all.
Mhm.
I think that this is information. This is being prepared. This is being informed. Okay, maybe
Mhm.
that's all my Saturn in my chart. Um, finally, but I do feel like this is information. It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to so that you don't just like walk off a cliff and then wonder what happened while you're laying on your face on the floor, going energetically. What
Mhm.
what happened. And you can actually have a chance now to prepare to think about the things that you talked about, the energies. What am I ready to let go of? What am I ready to step into? How could I amplify receiving my intuitive flashes, right? How
Mhm.
can I listen to them more? How can I tune in? And how can I, wow, ride some of these amazing energies? Because it seems to me from my mystery school training that we're going down in the dark and coming up in the light, or down in the dark, and like doing some diving, into the shadows. Maybe we would call that shadow
Right.
work.
And I think this snake year, we get very aware of what's hypnotized us, and to break that hypnotic spell. It's, that's one of the gifts of the snake. And we can use that power, or it can be used on us. And right now it's used on us a lot. So a lot of people get that hit of, oh, there may be a job change coming up, but then they get hypnotized. So they're not preparing their resume. They're not reaching out to their contacts. They're not getting the new job. And then it comes as a shock. And that's where the people listening, you have the advantage. You can say, I'm not going to get hypnotized. I did get the message, so I am going to be proactive about this. So, and that was just, it's like built into us, that idea that, we see the first robin of spring. And so, okay, it's time to get the seeds ready. It's time to start getting the soil ready. It wasn't like, holy smokes, it's spring. I didn't plant anything.
Yeah.
But we kind of have that attitude sometimes when we see the eclipses or a month like March coming. No, we have time. And you have been preparing, and now you just say, all right, now that we're close enough, what is going to change?
Hmm. Yeah. Good. Well, before we wrap up, anything else you want to share about anything? I know that if you contact Donna, she can send you your chart, right?
Mhm.
Do readings. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And check out her YouTube channel. You're doing things all the time to keep us updated on these energies. Thank you. And also your new book. So share just a bit about
Mhm.
your new book before we go.
Yeah, this is a Chinese astrology book. And as we had talked about in one of the episodes, about Chinese astrology, has all the animals in it. So they have the different stories. So it's another way of accessing the information, just like Western astrology or numerology. All of these things, they all give us the messages that we're looking for. So I also have a class coming up.
Okay.
It is a Zoom class. It's called New Month Wishes. So it is on March 1st. It's a free class. We're going to talk about some of the energies that are coming up in March, and then we're going to write our wishes together, and together we energize them.
Ooh,
So
I love it. This
it's really fun, yes. And so it's, if you go on my website and go to the shopping page, just click on New Month Wishes. You can register, and then you'll get the Zoom link.
fantastic. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah.
Well, we'll make sure we'll put a note about that here because that goes perfectly well with my wishes fulfilled class that
Oh, yeah.
we're going it's a week to week thing. We're renewing. We did a beta
Mhm.
program. We're just finishing up for 8 weeks and it's been phenomenal, right? That
That's
that
great.
idea of like you acknowledging it, getting past our fears of knowing what we want,
Hmm.
allowing ourselves to know what we want, choosing what we want, receiving what we want. There's a lot there, right?
There
So
is. There
yeah,
is. That's
it's a
fantastic.
it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you again. And make sure you check out the other shows we've got with Donna, the shows we're going to have coming up. And make sure that you check out the Portal to Ascension Year of the Snake event that we did. Donna was one of our amazing guests, and she gave a really detailed and wonderful information about the Year of the Snake. So it is free. It is on the Portal to Ascension YouTube channel. I'll make sure to get you the link. And I've gone back and watched it a few times, and it's definitely worthwhile checking out. So, all right, everybody, let me just share real quick. I know we've got some other things coming up. I want to make sure that we can, thank you. Always any year now. Okay, sometimes it doesn't like to do that. So what we're going to be doing is, we just did that, didn't we? We're having the March retreat in here in the Mayan land. It is one I've never done before. It is, we are going on the equinox to 2 solar initiations, to 2 sacred Mayan sites in the morning for sunrise, in the evening for sun set. And I've never done this with a group. We're also going to be doing a Jaguar Vision Quest. All kinds of shows are here on the channel. Check it out below that we've done about these solar initiations. This is going to another one for the Jaguar altar. This is where we'll be at Ekbalam. And we're also doing the Dolphin Light Weaving and Interspecies Communication Retreat, which is after that. You can do both. You can do one, you can do the other. But this is what's been called for, is to learn the light weaving. You get the course. You get to do all of these things. Here is our Mayan event. That is an actual picture of the temple we will be at for the morning. That is what happens. It comes through there. It activates your third eye. Last time we were able to do it 7 times, and it's going to be incredible. So we also have this, and I did 2 calls for people who wanted to manifest. It ended up becoming a how to manifest your dream and an incredible fear cleanse. Be sure you go to nanakasha.com. We're giving it away to everybody now because it was just so profound. So we don't need that, do we? And we'll have, we've got some other ones. I guess that's all we've got there. Good. So in the meantime, make sure you subscribe, you share, you go see Miss Donna, and you have a really beautiful and blessed day. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Donna. Namaste.
Thank you.